the dude on the side, because he didn't do much. I don't know what he just got paid for, but he was on the side there. And he looks over. He says, "You know, Mr. Walton, you got to learn with these children. You got to be able to look at them and say, 'I love you.'" You got to tell them that. No matter what they do, you got to be able to look in their face and say, "I love you." And that's how he said, "I love you." He said, "You can't do that. This ain't the job for you." I looked at this man like I want to smack the Jericho juice out of his head. Like, I'm going through all this stuff. You talking about, "I love you"? What you mean, I love you? That ain't going to do nothing right now. Girl, grab my butt. The dude going to shoot me after school. This whole bad family coming. What do you mean, "I love you"? So that was his advice to me. And looking back, I could understand a little bit, so much more now.
So that's what I was
Because
gonna ask you.
yeah, like I've shared "I love you" so much that it just rolls off my tongue. But then I've had young people look at me like, "Yo, I never had a man tell me I love you in my
Exactly.
life."
So that's what I wanted to ask. So, love, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a man to tell another man he loves him,
Yeah,
it's quite strange. It's viewed as
strange to y'all, not
homosexual
strange to
or
me.
something to that nature. It's not strange to you. It wasn't strange to me. But
It was
I
off
do.
though. 'Cause I remember you too. He was like, "Okay, yeah, love you too."
Well, I never had a strange man directly, and the key word is directly tell me I love you.
Yeah,
You know, my brother, yes, my brother would come, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
kiss me, hug me, throw me around. So that was, I always had that. I always knew what that love is with another man,
yeah,
right? So, but me growing up in Jamaica, the love was, we got love for you, big man. We got love for you, big man. So I've heard those things from the older man, but never directly. I
Yeah.
love you.
yeah.
So you was the first,
Mm.
and I think it was probably was in ninth grade or something to that nature when I left that school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, "Listen, big son, I love you."
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit, I don't know, it's got a little one of them little creepy dudes or something, you know. But the way you deliver it and the energy,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't that.
yeah.
But how the other boys took it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was different because it was, "Yo, man, Toy love you. Yo, he probably, you know, he's funny or something,"
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it was baffled by it.
Yeah, they really was too. And I was unapologetic too. I didn't give a damn. I stayed in front of whoever, wherever. And the thing that was interesting for me was that, so for one, love is a language and it can be communicated. So I gave love in all kinds of ways, and sometimes even the ass whippings, all the ass whippings was love, because it was never an ass whipping where I'm putting my hands on somebody's child trying to hurt them.
Yeah.
It was more so a discipline thing, you know, and also the thing of I'm trying to save your ass, because if you don't calm your ass down, the next person that put their hands on you is not gonna do it with love,
Exactly.
you know. So I remember, oh my God, so many of them: Kofani, Kajali, Test, for God rest his soul, you know, Jafet. Oh my God, man, like
Japheth confessed to me one time. He's like, "Listen, man, ain't nobody ever told me they love me. Walton's only told me they love me." Kafai and Japheth, they was on wild streak from the get-go.
yeah,
But they always kept you as a fawn. They always came back around.
Yeah.
I remember when Kafani came from jail. I think he probably one of the first person he came after school. He's like, "Oh, Walton." I was like, "He's walking around here somewhere." He's like, "Let me go find him. Let me find him."
yeah.
Like, you just came out of jail.
A lot of them
But it
dudes,
speaks
man.
volume that, you know, he wanted to be around you.
Yeah, a lot of them, man. Ryan, God bless his soul. I mean, it's just sad because nobody was. I felt like it was just a thing that was a no-brainer,
Yeah.
you know. But then I felt like I was the only soldier making a left when the other 99 out the 100 was making a right, you know. And I'm like, "Yo, y'all going wrong," and they look at me like, "Yo, you bugging," and you know. So I always was the one on the outs,
Yeah.
you know. And when I went as hard as I went, some people try to, "Oh, you know, you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't hug the children, and you shouldn't do this," and all the things I shouldn't do. But what I was doing was getting results,
Exactly.
you know, because when I was giving the love, I was getting it back. The expectations was raised higher. The accountability was raised higher. You know, they weren't so quick to just be reckless when they knew that somebody was pouring into them and was investing in them. You know, and then I got to put you guys into other things like college tours and stuff like that and expose you to different opportunities. So the idea of being able to tell you guys that I love you was just a natural thing for me. And I knew that it was something that you guys needed. And the funny thing is that even now, I remember when when my wife and I got married, one of her best friends, I met her husband and it became my brother. So I would tell him, yo, all right, bro, be good, man. I love you, bro. And he came to me one time, months later, yo, bro, when you said I love you, I didn't even know what to do with that, man. Like, and then, but here's a crazy thing. Although he's established now, military background and beautiful home and money and elevation and beautiful wife, the whole nine, his circumstances was much like a lot of y'all's when he was younger, you know, and he didn't have a lot of support. He didn't have a lot of anything, and he had to really hold it down for himself. So when he has a conversation with me, although I'm looking at this grown man who I look at as my equal, when we go back and hear the backstory, it's like, oh, shit, okay. Yeah. So then it makes more sense. But we have to step out of that because being able to tell a brother I love you should be natural. I don't hang up the phone with you unless I tell you I love you. And I think that should be our norm. What happens is we have to rewrite the narrative. Our norm should not be that a boy is called the N-word more than he's called his own name. But that's correct. Our reality, that young men are walking around being called the N-word more times than they're being called their own government God-given name. Mm-hmm. And that shouldn't be our norm. You know, this reality of us dying on trains by the hands of cops. Not even the white man on the train feel he got the right to come and choke you to death. The police banned the chokehold years ago with Eric Garner. So now we got civilians using the chokehold. And if you're a Marine, anybody that knows how to use a chokehold knows the damage that it does. Yeah. So if I'm on you for 15 minutes, I'm killing you. There's nobody that doesn't know that. We got little kids that go to dojos and they know if I hold this chokehold, you're going to die. So that was blatant murder. And the man went to the priest and asked some questions and went home afterwards. So that can't be our norm either. You know what I mean? Understood. But when people are constantly devaluing us to the point that we devalue ourselves, that was the area that I had to hit. I cannot change this world society's view. And sometimes I don't feel I care to even bother. But what I do care about is how you see yourself.
Exactly. Yep.
And you're not going to be in front of me treating yourself like you ain't nothing when I know you're something and you're in my charge. Nah, it can't happen. So we got to go toe to toe. We got to knock some chairs over. Some desks got to roll back. You're going to get this.
And I think that's ultimately what made a big difference and impact. So when we was in 8th grade, in your class was full.
Yeah.
And your class, I think it was a late class. It was probably 7th period or some nonsense like that.
It was the later part of the day.
Yeah, we don't left school in 3rd period. We leave school first, 2nd period and be gone. But we came back in droves to go to your class.
Came back. I shouldn't have been leaving in the first damn place, man.
Listen, we couldn't put up with the rest, but we had better things to do at that time. But it speaks volume because we respected you, but also you showed us love.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you instill, when we first spoke, I said, you taught me certain things that I didn't know about being black or being a man. Mm-hmm. And there's all kind of coincide with each other. They run together, right? If you have awareness, then you move differently. You think different. You act differently.
Yeah, you up your value.
Yes. And that's, you brought value to a lot of the boys in the class and the young ladies at the same time.
Yeah.
Because, we used to have those girls that go do their thing to make money.
Yeah.
But when they came to the class, they didn't come in the short miniskirt no more. They came in, when your class, we had to wrap stuff around us. Although we was like, no, we want to see something. Don't wrap that around you. Because I like to sit in my back of my chair and I would look back. Ooh. Man, but I couldn't do that no more. They had on swimsuit, the jumpsuit and stuff. I'm like, what the?
But you know what's so interesting, though? It's like, I find that young people respond when you raise the bar for them with love. Not this type of, do this or I'll do that or I'm going to take you this, I'm going to take you that. It has to be some type of common ground with young people. And I feel like because we've been taught to this mentality, it's almost like a slave mentality. Do what I say. If you don't, then you suffer. I'm like, really? No conversation? No type of conversation at all? Like, a young man saves all his money working at the supermarket, packing bags for like a month and change just so he could buy this hat. Right? The starter caps, they cost money. Yeah. It's his birthday. He goes to buy the starter cap. He comes to school too hype on his birthday with the starter cap on, walks in the building, and the security guard comes from behind him and snatches the hat off his head. Yep. No hats in the building. This boy damn near was going crazy, and nobody cared to understand why. And the violation he felt, he saved his money for weeks working to just get this hat just so he could be fly for his birthday. He didn't have much, but he was going to be fly with that hat. And as soon as he walked in the building, security guard took it and didn't even want to understand why he really wanted and deserved this hat back. And situations like that. Next thing you know, it could turn crazy. Police is called. This boy parents got to pick him from the precinct now, all because of a hat. And it didn't have to go like that. But they're not even hearing the stories. As a dean, like I was in 61, we used to have to go to these workshops. So I never forget going to Brooklyn Tech for this dean workshop. And this white guy, was it a Spanish woman, running the workshops, and they telling the deans in schools how we have to be 3 types of cops. We have to be the beat cop, we have to be the investigator, and then we have to be the I think the judge or something like that to hand down a conviction, they said. And they were so adamant about this thing. They had little posters and stuff. They was too happy, like they created this up. And I'm just sitting there watching all this stuff. And of course, you know me. So we're in the school as deans. And by definition, a dean is a disciplinarian, but a dean is also an advocate for students. I looked it up. So I said, I get the disciplinarian part, but where's the advocacy for students? Because if we're just being the beat cop, the investigator, then the judge laying down the convictions, when do they get support? Who's supporting them? Well, we have to be, but do we have to? Because in my school, I don't have to do that to get results. And the fact that you're laying out a whole system of treating children like criminals, because if you're a cop and you're a beat cop and you're an investigator, you deal with criminals. But we're talking about students, black students. Yeah. And you're talking about how you deal with criminals, and you're bringing that into the school system, and you want to train deans on treating students like criminals. How is that okay?
It's not, because the students already have an understanding how the police treat them from being outside.
Right.
So they kind of see how you move in a classroom. Exactly. And if you move that way, the results you're going to get is combative.
And then the idea that you want to train people to move that way with black children is the most discouraging and the most concerning part. And of course, I speak my piece, and now the whole room looking at me like, now I got to eat lunch by myself because nobody want to eat with me.
Yeah, we don't want to be associated with the troublemaker right here. I don't want to be associated with the
troublemaker. But it's so real because the idea, and I've had to play that post so many times. It's so funny. I look back and laugh. Like I look like a television show. I remember walking out of a building, and it was like 3-4 guys, and I was like, hey, what's up, guy? Where y'all going? Y'all going to get lunch? And it was like, oh, I'm going to go to my car. Oh, I forgot something. And everybody was dispersed because nobody wanted to be associated with me because I was always seen as this guy. And I never really...
You don't mess up their check, their promotion.
But it's crazy because I never really tried to at all. It was always because of the work that I did for young people. And people would come with the, who do you think you are? I get that to this day. Who do you think you are? All this other crap. But I feel like if you're not going out for the young people and you're in a position of education, then what are you doing? Because the whole purpose of you being there is for young people. That's why you make your money. That's why you're present every day. That's why you took these courses about how to teach and how to work with and how to develop relationships. So for you to go into school and do the things that so many teachers have done is downright criminal. Jim was in the ESL class, the English as a second language classes. The Haitian teachers would put him in the corner of the room and make the other kids make fun of him because she couldn't get him to follow her rules the way she wanted him to. So she was just putting this kid through hell every day. And then when I took him out of her classroom, she had the nerve to get mad at me and was like, oh, how you took him out my class? I came to her and talked to her. She was, whatever you do, I don't care, whatever you do, I don't care. That was her whole attitude. I was okay. So I took him out of class, put him in a better situation. Oh, she was hot. But the idea that she was putting this young boy through that every day, that's what he came to school for every day? Nah, you can't do that. So that's where my advocacy came from.
We'll pivot on that part. So your advocate, your passion, your love. I think this was a turning point for me and you in our relationship development, and it blossomed to what it is now. And this is when I came to you, and I had to make a personal decision to start changing the outcome of my situation, my life. Yeah. Because I was like, I need to move away from the block or the hustling situation. I need to figure a way to move away from it.
That's right. And no more oregano and molasses.
No oregano and molasses. They couldn't arrest me for that. Pull me over. We're going to pull me over.
That's a side story.
That's a side story.
Remember that for episode number 2, oregano and molasses. Yes.
But when I came to you and I told you, but I made this decision. I know that's another backstory. But
yes.
When I made the decision to change, one thing I know I had to do was my Achilles heel at that time.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to read.
Yeah.
So I was like, for me, I understand how to move money and make money. Mm-hmm. But for me to go transition into the workforce or into a new world now, that was my Achilles heel. I didn't really know how to function in that realm.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know what? Well, who can help me with this? So then I touch base with you.
Yeah, man.
And
I still remember that day too. It was in my office, and you come by after school all the time. Well, not all the time, but a lot of time. And we talk and chop it up. I'll be doing work. Sometimes you used to help me with work. Sometimes be you and John. Sometimes you by yourself. But I remember feeling so defeated.